Welcome to Wealth Bites, the first and only channel for tech professionals in Australia. In this channel, this is my thoughts and views on how to make money and retire early, and by no means financial advice. Since you are here with me, welcome to my world. I will be discussing ideas and ideals that may not seem popular and sometimes provocative. However, it will be eye-opening for you and will expand your horizons to make money differently. And of course, if you need help, you can reach out to me. Today, I want to talk about property, and it amazes me how many people think about it as a silver bullet to their financial future. Property is often sold as a one-way ticket to financial freedom. It's very popular. You'll see a lot of ads, Instagram reels, and people promoting property as your silver bullet. It promises you a portfolio of investment properties that will get you passive income and will make you retire early. But instead, it just feels like you've signed up for another job. I had 2 alarming client calls last week in the same day, and that really highlights this position. One client was exhausted by nightmare tenants and a dishonest agent, and the other was shocked when the negative gearing benefits they had relied on suddenly vanished because their property finally became profitable. Who would hate that? And right when they thought things were going well, the ATO came in for a bigger slice. So that's the thing about property. It can absolutely play a role in building wealth, but the version most people think they are signing up for, which is permanent tax deductions, easy tenants, guaranteed upsides, that version simply doesn't exist. So here is my unpopular opinion on this topic. Negative gearing is not a forever tax shield. The better your property performs, the faster that benefit flips on you. Let's be realistic here. Do you want to buy a poor quality asset that remains negatively geared forever and you're going to fund it forever? Absolutely not. The initial plan is to buy a property that is a high quality asset that could be potentially negatively geared at the beginning for 2-3 years, and then it becomes positively geared. So with the wrong structure, what will happen here is that the income will come back as positively geared property and the ATO man will be watching. So suddenly, right at the time when your cash flow already feels stretched, you're handing more over to the tax office. So the real question you need to think about isn't should I buy property? It's does this property in this market with my income profile actually improve my position or just adding noise? And let me break this down for you without a little bit of simple English, no jargon. I'll start with some practical advice, the kind of basics that too often get skipped when people are caught up in the property hype. So number 1, ownership structure. Who actually owns the property? In your own name, with a partner, or a trust, or a company? Each choice has tax and long-term wealth implications, and you need to think about that very carefully. For example, if you are a high-income earner on a $400,000 package at Atlassian or Google, holding the property in your personal name might just amplify your tax bill. Yes. Whereas another structure might give you flexibility or at least some protection. Number 2, what life stage are you in? Property is not just a financial decision. It's a time decision. If you are in your late 30s and hustling in tech, building aggressively, accumulating assets, you might be okay absorbing the stress and cash flow hit. But if you're mid-40s, already juggling family, RSUs, tax headaches, and thinking about early retirement, adding property admin on top can drain your bandwidth. And number 3, timing and cash flow. Most people assume tenants cover the mortgage, but the reality, vacancy periods, interest rate rises, unexpected repairs, suddenly you're putting thousands from your salary just to keep this property afloat. Cash flow discipline actually matters more than the glossy brochures and the projections that you will get when you're buying the property. And number 4, the position in your overall portfolio. This one is really big, and too often I meet clients who are already overweight in a single asset. They've got company shares through RSUs, Australian heavy exposure in super, and then pile property on top. And that's not diversification, it's just concentration. And concentration magnifies risk for you. So now, let's zoom out to a strategic layer. So first, property returns are overstated. After costs, net yield is often around 2.7 a year. Compare that to diversified portfolio targeting 5% with no leaking taps or strata levies. Secondly, think about property. It's not passive. You will hear set and forget at every barbecue, but the reality is Tenants calling at 9:30 p.m. about a broken dishwasher, land tax notices you didn't budget for, strata fees that mysteriously rise every year, and insurance renewals that slipped your mind. So refinancing paperwork as well eats your weekends, and it's not passive, it's a part-time job. And I've tried it myself before. Third, and this is the one I really want to land with you. Complexity is the enemy of freedom. So if you're a senior tech professional on 300K or 400K, your life is already complex. Your RSUs are vesting either quarterly or monthly. Your PYG shortfalls from bonuses and overexposure to employer shares price. You add this property to the mix, and then the management on top will just be overwhelming. And instead of building freedom, you are just building stress. So let me bring this alive into a story, because numbers only go so far. A client I called Sarah came to me a few years ago. She was a senior product manager at Microsoft and earning around $380,000 a year. She had bought her first investment property in her mid-30s and was so proud of it. Then she doubled down, bought another property in Brisbane because that's what everyone said you should do. So for a little while, she was convinced it was working. She would talk about it in terms of the tax benefits, how this was showing tax savings using the system, and how her tenants were basically paying her mortgage. But when we dug deeper, the cracks showed, right? So between strata maintenance, land tax, agent fees, her so-called passive income was actually draining her cash flow. One property had a burst pipe that cost over $15,000 to fix. And guess what? It has to be done immediately. So what happened to the Brisbane property? It's finally tipped into profitability, which sounds great, until negative gearing just disappeared. And suddenly, she owed the ATO thousands more in tax. And that was the moment that she realized this isn't really financial freedom. This is financial friction. So we paused and stepped back. We asked a different question. Instead of how many properties do I need, we asked a different question. What mix of assets will actually buy me back my time? And that was the key. So we structured her wealth plan. We shifted part of her capital into global diversified portfolio with balanced equities, fixed income alternatives, and all sort of diversification for her. We built in using a tax-aware strategies to reduce her liability. And the difference was night and day. She went from juggling leaks, levies, and late-night calls to logging into her account and seeing dividends flowing automatically. Her returns actually doubled and her tax position really improved. And the weekends got them back, and it's becoming more relaxed, and she's doing more activities now. And that's when she told me, I thought I was buying property to build freedom. Turns out I was buying stress. This plan feels like freedom. Now, let me give you a second perspective. Another client of mine called Mark, he's a senior engineer at another company. High income, mid-40s, thinking about early retirement. He had always dreamed of building a property empire. He owned 3 investment properties by the time we met. On paper, he looked successful, he loved it. But when we reviewed his numbers, the reality was really brutal for him. After costs, he was barely breaking even. Can you even believe that? He was working long hours and still stressed out about covering mortgage shortfalls when tenants moved out, actually. So he had just been offered a senior role overseas, but he turned it down. You know why? Because his properties tied him down. He couldn't handle the thought of managing tenants from another country. He thought it's a crazy idea. And definitely, that's not freedom. That's actually a trap. So we restructured, sold one property, rebalanced into super contributions and a global portfolio, and we put it in a place where wealth plan is targeted for early retirement, while keeping his options open. Within 2 years, his stress levels dropped dramatically, and he was back on track for the flexibility he actually wanted with his family and kids. This moment actually reminds me of The Matrix. I'm not sure if everyone have watched the movie, but you remember when Morpheus offers Neo the choice? The blue pill keeps him in the comfortable illusion while the red pill shows him the truth? That's exactly what I remembered. For a lot of people, property is the blue pill. It looks safe, it looks like the way, and everyone talks about it everywhere. So how can I get it wrong? But when you take the red pill actually, and when you really see the numbers, the stress, the complexity, you realize freedom doesn't come from adding more bricks and mortgages. It actually comes from clarity, diversification, and strategies that actually can buy you time and freedom. So here's the counterintuitive truth. High income earners don't need more moving parts to grow their wealth. They just need fewer, more efficient ones. You don't need four properties to retire early. You may need some at some stage, but you don't need to collect keys, manage tenants, or lose weekends to maintenance drama with your agent. What you do need is clarity, a tax-aware portfolio, and the discipline to let compounding do the heavy lifting for you. That's really passive. And here's the good news. With the right plan, you can build serious wealth without being a landlord. You can focus on your career, your family, your life goals, while your money quietly works in the background. So, what if property won't buy you freedom? Then maybe it's time to stop asking, how many properties do I need? And start asking, what structure of wealth actually gives me the life I want? What sort of goals do you have for the short, medium, and long term? And how can you reverse back engineer those goals into an actionable plan that can save you on tax while making more money to retire more comfortably? If that is something you have been thinking about, you know how to reach me. You can just send me an email at mo@marwethchores.com.au or just send me a message on LinkedIn. Thank you for listening, and I hope this episode was beneficial and helpful to you. See you guys.